To speak of human survival 3.5 million years ago is to speak not of us, but of our genesis. It is to journey back to a time before Homo sapiens, before cities, before fire itself, to witness the birth of the strategies that would ultimately make our existence possible. This is the story of our deep ancestors, the hominins who faced a world of terrifying dangers and against all odds endured. The world they inhabited was the Pliocene epoch, a magnificent and brutal stage. The climate of Africa was shifting, the dense forests giving way to vast open savannas. This was not a gentle change. It was an environmental revolution that presented a stark choice to all life: adapt or perish. Our ancestors chose to adapt. The protagonists of this epic tale were small, resilient beings like Australopithecus afarensis. Standing only 3 to 4 feet tall, with long arms and ape-like faces, they were physically unassuming. They possessed no formidable claws, no coats of thick fur, no saber teeth. Their strength was not of the body, but of the spirit, and in a single revolutionary adaptation. That adaptation was bipedalism. The act of standing and walking consistently on 2 legs was not merely a change in posture. It was the single most important survival strategy they developed. It was the superpower that allowed them to conquer a new and hostile world, a world for which they were not originally designed. Walking upright was, first and foremost, a feat of incredible energy efficiency. On the sprawling savanna, where food and water sources were scattered over vast distances, the ability to travel long distances without expending excessive calories was a matter of life and death. The bipedal gait was a biological key that unlocked the entire continent. This new posture also liberated the hands. For the first time in our lineage, the forelimbs were freed from the burden of locomotion. These were no longer just limbs for climbing or knuckle walking. They were now instruments for creation and survival. A free hand could carry precious food back to the group, ensuring the survival of the young and the weak. A free hand could carry an infant, allowing the group to remain mobile while protecting its most vulnerable members. It could wield an unshaped stone to crack open a nut or a bone for its marrow. It could brandish a stick to ward off a predator. The free hand was the seed of all future technology. Furthermore, standing tall provided a critical defensive advantage. In a landscape of tall grasses, the ability to see over the vegetation meant the difference between spotting a predator and being ambushed by one. It provided a panoramic view of the world, a higher vantage point from which to find resources and anticipate threats. Survival, however, was not achieved by anatomy alone. It was forged in the crucible of the group. These early hominins were intensely social creatures. They understood on a primal level that the lone individual was doomed. Their true fortress was not built of stone, but of kinship and cooperation. There was safety in numbers. A group of alert individuals could watch for danger in all directions, creating a perimeter of awareness that a single hominin could never achieve. Their collective presence and coordinated defense could often deter predators, who would have easily picked off a solitary target. Their diet was a testament to their adaptability. They were not specialist hunters or picky eaters. They were opportunistic generalists, a strategy that ensured they could find sustenance in a fluctuating environment. They ate fruits, nuts, seeds, roots, insects, and bird eggs. There is strong evidence to suggest that they also scavenged the kills of larger predators. Using simple stones, they could have broken open bones to access the nutrient-rich marrow, a critical source of fat and protein that would fuel the eventual growth of their brains. This flexibility was their shield against starvation. These ancestors possessed no written language, no maps, no compasses. Yet they held a tool of immense power, an intricate and detailed mental map of their territory. They knew the landscape intimately, where to find water in the dry season, which trees would fruit at what time of year, and the hunting grounds of the great carnivores. This deep learned knowledge of their environment, passed down through generations, was as vital to their survival as any physical adaptation. It allowed them to navigate their world with a foresight and efficiency that was, in itself, a form of genius. And the dangers were very real. This was a world populated by fearsome megafauna. Saber-toothed cats like Dinophalus and Megantereon hunted in the tall grasses. Giant hyenas, far larger than their modern counterparts, could crush bone with a single bite. Life was a constant state of vigilance. Even the skies were not safe. Evidence on fossil skulls suggests that large birds of prey would sometimes hunt the young of these hominins. Danger was ever present, lurking on the ground and circling in the air above. Every day was a battle for the next sunrise. It is crucial to remember that these beings survived without the aid of two things we often associate with human evolution: controlled fire and sophisticated stone tools. The systematic creation of tools would come much later with the genus Homo. Their technology was their own biology, their bipedal legs, their versatile hands, their adaptable teeth. Their primary tool was their mind, their ability to remember, to cooperate, to learn, and to solve the constant problems posed by their environment. The social structure was likely complex, centered around cooperation. Food was likely shared, especially with the young. The long period of childhood dependency meant that the entire group had a vested interest in protecting and nurturing its offspring. This communal care was the bedrock of their society. Communication, while not a spoken language as we know it, would have been rich and complex. A combination of gestures, body language, and a wide range of vocalizations would have allowed them to coordinate foraging, warn of danger, and reinforce social bonds. We can imagine them at the end of a long day, gathering as a group in a temporary refuge, perhaps a small clutch of trees or a rocky outcrop. Here, they would find safety in their shared presence, grooming, communicating, and reinforcing the bonds that had kept them alive. The nights would have been filled with the sounds of predators, a constant reminder of their precarious position in the food chain. They were not the apex predators of their world. They were survivors, thinkers, and opportunists. Their success was not guaranteed. Countless other species and lineages from this era vanished without a trace, becoming mere footnotes in the fossil record. But our ancestors possessed a unique combination of resilience, adaptability, and social intelligence that allowed them to cling to existence. They did not merely survive, they thrived. They spread across the landscape, slowly but surely establishing a foothold that would provide the foundation for everything that was to come. They were the pioneers of our lineage. Each challenge they overcame, each predator they outwitted, each dry season they endured was a victory that echoed through the ages. Their struggles and successes were etched into our very DNA. The story of their survival is the first and perhaps most important chapter in the human epic. It is a story of how a small, physically unimpressive creature, armed with little more than its wits and its loyalty to the group, began a journey. It was a journey that would lead them out of Africa, across the globe, and eventually to the moon. But it all began here on the ancient savannas with the simple, courageous act of standing up and walking forward. Their survival was not an accident. It was the result of a powerful suite of adaptations, bipedalism, dietary flexibility, and intense social cooperation that together formed a strategy for life in a dangerous and unpredictable world. They were the living embodiment of resilience. Their story is a powerful reminder that our greatest strengths have always been our ability to adapt, to work together, and to persevere in the face of impossible odds. Their legacy is our own existence.